Hey, I think I'm on. So let me tell you, I talked for about 3 minutes. So what happened was I hit go live. Can you imagine me with my computer and internet problems? I hit go live and it said going live. And you know how it goes circle, circle, circle. It was doing that for 3 minutes. And I'm like, well, this is annoying. But it wasn't like I was seeing your chats in real time. Like it said I'm going live. I assumed I was live, so I talked. I didn't talk about much. I basically just talked about the circle. I'm gonna have like nightmares of this circle. So that's when I hopped in the chat. Am I live? Because as I'm talking, I'm like, is this messing up the stream? How's it going? And nobody's answering, but I'm still seeing chats pop up. So I was not live. Thank you. I thought if I hit refresh, it would like ruin because YouTube's really, I do not like. And so you're like, well, you pay money every month to StreamYard. Why don't you do it on StreamYard every day? That's a great question because I'm stubborn. That's number one. Number two, it takes a little more time than YouTube to get everything set up. And I didn't, obviously, it's 7:10. I'm just starting. So maybe I should just do StreamYard every morning. It's just so easy on YouTube. But yeah, YouTube, it I don't like. I wish you could do more going live on YouTube because like my microphone, if I don't have my microphone plugged in and I'm in this studio screen, I'm not able to change microphones. And I think same with cameras. So that's what I don't. So maybe I should go to StreamYard on a daily basis. Plus, I could do more. Like today, I actually thought about it. It's like, you know what? I should go to StreamYard. Oh, wait, it's already 7:04. It'll take me longer to get the stream set up to go on StreamYard because I could show you the checklist. I can't do that here. So I think I'm just gonna have to. I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and just use StreamYard every day. I pay for it, so I might as well use it. So we've got George in the chat. He was the first one on. Good morning, George. Jenny, good morning. Good morning, Hobby World. Herman in the house. Great show last night. And here's the measure of and I can't say the measure of a great show because sometimes I think a show is great and I'm like active in the chat. Last night was in a different spectrum. It was a great show that I was so in tuned to, like I was listening and not chatting. Like I was there the whole hour, but I wasn't in the chat. I wasn't really in the chat room because I was like I really enjoyed the content. And I had nothing to add to the conversation because I'm not an expert on 1972 tops. You know, I have the Cubs, but that's, you know, kind of the extent. So I really didn't have much to add to the conversation in the chat room. So I was just listening in and hearing Mark Hoyle's collection and his stories behind it. Of course, John Keating's stories, Uncle Rich, and Herman, who just finished the 72 top set. It was a great show. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it on Herman's channel. Herman, if you can, pop that link into the chat room so people can access that. It was really good. 3B Collections channel. So check that out. Paige and Deanie Bean in the house. Cooter, good morning. Good morning, fellow. It's couch people season, baby. It is cold. I'm wearing this heavy North Face, which I really love this shirt. It's actually from the company I used to work for. It says North Face here, but I think on the sleeve, like over here, it's got our company logo that I used to work for. And but it's really comfortable, but it's really warm. So it's like a winter only shirt. Because if it's like 60 and above, it's really it's warm. But today's high, I think, is only going to be 55 here. So I think that's like, I think I can get away with it because it's coming off of warm weather. But if it's 55 coming off of cold weather, this would be too warm. I don't know if you catch my drift, but It's really warm. It's a really warm shirt, but I really like it. So I actually looked at the forecast this morning and I saw 55. So fall is officially here, like official. Like I know Labor Day is like the unofficial start of fall. And then September 22nd is the autumnal equinox? So that's the first, okay, it really is fall, people. It's not Labor Day. So put that pumpkin spice away. September 22nd, that's the real deal. But sometimes it's a little warm on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th. But yesterday was the first day I took Biscuit for a walk, and we usually go for a walk around 11 o'clock. And yesterday was the first day since like early May, that I was like, even wearing a long sleeve shirt, I was chilly. It's like, ooh, maybe I should grab a jacket today. First time in like 4 months. Now it's going to be like jacket, coat, weather, and then for like 3 months, it's too damn cold to go out and take the dog for a walk. But yesterday was the first, like, open the garage door, walk down the driveway. Oof. It's a little cold. Felt nice in the sun though. A little cold. Let's see. Victor is here. What's up, Victor? Ed, good morning. I agree with Ed. Great show last night. Herman, am I live? I was not when I typed that out. And George helped me out. Nope, not that I see. Cooter and Herman and Ed all add, no, you were not live. So thank you. Otherwise, I would have been talking and you would have just been chatting amongst yourselves. And so would I. Paige says, Paige and DD Bean says, where are we at? Yes, Herman, I got to watch the first 20 minutes I missed. George says, give it a shot of coffee. There's Mark Hoyle. What's up? Terry, good morning. David, throw it out the window, let the car drive over it. Sometimes that's what I want to do. Let's see. DR says, huge win on the private collection last night. If you haven't seen, DR picked up a collection, and first box he opens, boom, Tom Brady Bowman rookie card. How about that? That's really cool. And then he had what else did I see? An 84 Donruss. Okay, he types it right in the comment there. So top 4 finds, 3% in, Tom Brady Bowman rookie, 82 Topps complete set, 84 Donruss baseball set. Wow, in the 1990 Leafs set. How about that? How about them apples? Best purchase ever for Dan. That is sweet. I love living vicariously through those collection purchases. And I must admit, a little bit jealous. I think we all are. Cooter says, in the 80s, Am I Live had a whole different meaning. Was it Am I Live or is it Memorex? Or am I thinking something completely different? Herman says, YouTube wouldn't let me use my thumbnail last night that I had been using. Said I couldn't use anything over 2 megabyte. Is it megabyte? Megabyte. 2 MB, 2 megabyte. Yeah, sometimes YouTube's really finicky. I don't know why. I just, it's annoying. Terry says, you were already talking every morning by the time my YouTube app loads your show. That's another thing that I don't like with YouTube is when I watch shows, it's like, it doesn't happen with Herman. Like, I catch Herman's show, but maybe that's because he does the countdown. Maybe if I did a countdown, that wouldn't happen. But I know that happened with other shows that I watch, and it's like there's already a minute in, but I'm hitting refresh. It's whatever time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock rock. And, there's all of a sudden it's like refresh. And maybe that I just assumed it was my crappy internet. And I was always a minute behind. Diego, what's up? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, good morning to you, Diego. Paige and Deanie Bean says the show is awesome. I agree. Talking about last night's personal rips and hobby chat on the 3B collection channel, talking 72 Topps baseball. We're gonna flash into the future 50 freaking years. Holy crap. 50 years to 2022. Where we're going to have flying cars. We're going to be living on the moon 50 years in the future from 1972. It's going to be a crazy, crazy world, that 2022. We're going to talk about Topps Pro debut. Let's see. Diego was sorting and doing the same, just listening, thinking to myself, Are the cards of the 70s are the cards of the 90s my 1970s? I think about that often, like, because we all have different like thoughts on, we're nostalgic about different things. I love the 89 sets because that's like my very first year. And I know other people like, different years. And it's like that year doesn't do it for me. But it has the same, they have a similar connection to 1972 that I have with 1989 or whatever year you so choose. Royals 417. Good morning. Herman just dropped it in the chat, so check it out. Last night's roundtable on 1972 tops. Herman just put the link in there. 3B collection. Diego says, I somewhat remember the players, teams, moments in the 90s, my biggest era of my fandom. Oh man, that's a good point, Diego. Like, I remember the 90s. Like, I mean, I was like, those were my formative years. Like, I entered the decade of the 90s as a 7-year-old because I turned 8 in 1990. But then as the year closed, I was a senior in high school. So it truly was the decade truly was my formative years from 8 to 18. But like I mentioned yesterday, I wasn't really a huge baseball fan throughout the 90s. Like, really, 1998 got me back in. And I was like, 98, I was a huge baseball fan. And then 99, I was still kind of somewhat, I was still buying cards at the card shop. It was still open. So 98, 99, I was paying close attention to baseball. And then, probably 90, 91, 92, I was watching baseball as a kid. But then the mid 90s, I like couldn't care less about baseball. I was watching football. Basketball was my thing. I was huge into basketball by 92, 93 with Shaq. And then by 95, I really got into pro wrestling, and I was just a diehard wrestling fan throughout the rest of the 1990s until baseball started pulling some of that attention away in 98. So yeah, in the 80s, I was too young. Like, I was 7 when the decade closed out of the 80s. So, I really don't have, so it's like what, so in what I'm like talking in circles here. So it's like what, so Diego says, I somewhat remember the players, teams, moments in the 90s, my biggest era of my fandom. I'm trying to think what decade would be my biggest decade of fandom for baseball. I don't know, because like I said, like the 90s, I was really only half into baseball. The 2000s, certainly not, because in the early 2000s, I was in college. And I really wasn't following baseball that closely. In the early I was a huge minor league baseball fan in the early 2000s. I was following the draft. I was listening, like, I say I wasn't a big baseball fan, but I was listening to the draft on MLB.com in like 2002, 2003, when they very first started audio streaming. And the Major League Baseball draft was New York Yankees. You're on the clock. The Yankees select player 068543. Brian Taylor, pitcher, Georgia. That was like the extent of streaming the baseball draft 20 years ago. The 2010s, I'd say the 2010s would be my biggest decade of baseball fandom. Because that's when I really, because the start of the decade, I was really into broadcasting. Like, that was like, now my job is selling baseball cards and my hobby is baseball cards. Back in the early 2010s and the late aughts, my job was working in radio and my hobby was broadcasting games for myself on my own streaming platform. So the early 2010s, so by like 2013, I think, I was really into baseball again. And then the Cubs got really good, and I was always a diehard Cubs fan, but I paid much closer attention by when they started getting, well, even 2014 when they sucked. I was following the minor league closely and still watching the major league club. So I would say, after diarrhea of the mouth for the last 5 minutes, final answer: the decade of my biggest baseball fandom, the 2010s, right? Yeah. So 2010 to 2019, or 2011 to 2020, however you want to. I know we can nitpick on starting and ending. Somebody on Twitter was getting very animated about when decades begin and when they start. So I say the 80s were 1980 to 1989. I say the 70s were 1970 to 1979. And I think technically, like, by definition, like, the decade starts at year one. So like 1981 to 1990 or whatever. And maybe I could be wrong, but I think I looked into it and I think that was the case. But for purposes of this discussion, my biggest baseball decade of fandom was the 2010s, which I will call 2010 through 2019, even if we go by the other definition, 2011 to 2020. Let's see. Victor says it's 46 and quite cloudy. I think we're seeing some similar temps. I know you were like 10 degrees warmer last week. I know it's only going to be 55 today, so it's probably, it's cold outside. It's 40 degrees right now. It's 40 degrees here. Holy crap. Our overnight lows the next 3-4 days in the 30s. That freaking sucks. So I was wondering, and September's always the month in Wisconsin and Illinois, other states in the Midwest, where it's like you're going to a football game, especially on a Friday night. What do you wear? So it could be like, so Friday, it's going to be in the upper, actually, let's look at Anawan, because I'll be back in Anawan, Illinois for homecoming. So let's take a look at Anawan. Let's see. So Friday's high is going to be 68, but that's like during the day when it's going to be sunny. Hopefully, yes, sunny and 68. So during the day, I'm going to have to take two outfits, a day outfit and a Friday night football game outfit, because during the day, like at 2:00 for the parade, I don't want to be wearing a hoodie because it's going to be sunny and 68. That's too warm for hoodie. But at night, it's going to be in the 40s. And I don't want to be wearing a t-shirt or a polo when it's dark and 45 degrees. So I'll have to dress accordingly. So at least I was proactive and I looked that up. So I'm not like wearing a hoodie and sweating at 2:30 watching the homecoming parade, or I'm wearing a t-shirt and shivering at the football game. Let's see. CHRSCM, I don't know how to pronounce that, but hey, welcome to the show. Thank you for jumping on. I think that's a first-time chatter. Let's see. Herman says, thanks, everyone. Really enjoyed it myself. Jenny says, it's the countdown. I think it is. I think it's the countdown. That's what, boom, you could be right on time. Paige and Deanie Bean says, last night I found back-to-back baseball card live streams. Really? What other channels did you find? Because I'm always, usually prime time, like I'm not really watching much baseball card content. But I always do like to have, especially if it's a regular schedule, like this night, I like, just in case, it's like maybe my wife has a girls' night and it's like, hey, it's Wednesday night. I want to watch some live baseball card content. Let's see. Herman says, I don't have ads. Let's see. Ed says, you're not far off with the crazy world prediction, but may still be in his formative years. I think I am. Keeps me young. Mark says, we all commented after we were off the air that we talked cards for an hour and money and investment didn't get brought up. That's cool. And I always like things like that. Like a friend of mine this summer, and this is not about cards or money, but had a party, and he used to do it like every year in June, like around his birthday, and it was SummerSlam. Yes, it was stolen from the WWF/WWE pay-per-view event SummerSlam. So it was his just a backyard party with friends. And what's cool, so he hadn't done it in a few years because he had started his own financial planning business, and then COVID hit. So he reignited SummerSlam this past June. And what's cool is, like, Scott, my friend who hosts SummerSlam, him and I grew up across the street from each other. We've known each other since preschool or kindergarten. So we've known each other for like almost 40 years, basically our entire lives. And we're still best friends to this day. And then he has like his college friends who I don't really know. Like, I just know from like hanging out every once in a while, but it's not like, because we didn't go to school together, college. And then there's his work friends. And so like none of us really know each other that well. So at his birthday party / SummerSlam this past June, we're like and it was his 40th birthday party. So like his family was there too. His family was like on the patio, and then like the group of friends, like me from growing up, and then some of his college buddies, some of his work buddies in the past. Like, none of us really know each other, but we've got this group going. We're just talking. And I realized, like, at the end of the night, not a single one of us pulled out our phones. You never see that. Like, never say never. But how often in a group setting, how often, and there was a group of like 10 of us, and I don't think a single time the only time somebody pulled out a phone was like talking about, oh yeah, I did this landscape project, check this out. And then boom, here's a picture, phone goes away. Like, that's such a rarity today. And I'm like guilty most often of pulling out my phone. But for however long it was, 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, just standing in the backyard talking without any phone distraction. It was in hindsight, it was amazing. Like, living in the moment, we didn't think about it. We didn't think about our phones. We were completely disconnected with the rest of the world, which was very satisfying. It was very, very satisfying. So yeah, sometimes it's not about the money. It's about the cards. It's not about what people are saying on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. It's about the people in the moment. And I do need to practice that more often, because my cell phone is glued to my hand most of the time. And I really do need to disconnect more often. Mark says, good morning. Geez, I'm an old geezer. I remember buying packs of 74, putting my second 75 set in sheets now while watching the podcast. Very cool. Diego says, in the 90s, it was my young adult years, going to games and playing, trying to reach the dream. Yes, sir. Kyle says, what's up, Kyle? 1989 makes me think how excited I was to pull a Jerome Walton rookie. I should have traded them for Griffey Jr.'s. I know, right? At one time, Beckett value on the 89 Upper Deck Jerome Walton was, trying to see if I have, it was $20. I think I have, off by a year. I have an 88 baseball card magazine. What do I have up here? That's a Sports Illustrated. I usually carry some old Beckett's nearby, just so I can, just for reference material. I have them for the articles, not for the price guides. Actually, no, I have them for the price guides so I can look up historical pricing. Let's see. Jenny says, what's your 2023 schedule looking like for the Madison Card Show? And is there a December show this year? Jenny, thank you so much for bringing that up. Because I failed to mention this in the show review on Sunday, because I may have been a little, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but, doubtful. I was very doubtful on the future of the Madison Card Show. Well, I'm in better spirits after a chat on Friday. So let me tackle your question first before I ramble. The 2023 schedule is not yet set. I have a tentative schedule laid out. I will have the first 3 months of the 2023 schedule set here in about 2 weeks, probably. It'll be finalized in 2 weeks. Is there a December show? Yes, the December show is the 17th, Saturday, December 17th. It's the weekend before Christmas. I had a couple dealers because I did not schedule a December Madison card show last year. And I had several dealers in November say, oh man, you should really have a December show. And so likewise, this past weekend, I said, it's not on my business cards, but there is a December show. It's the 17th. And I had a couple dealers say, you're not going to regret that. It's going to be a good show. So December 17th. So the next show is October 22nd, Madison Card Show, Sheraton Hotel, John Dolan Drive. The November show is not the Saturday of Thanksgiving this year. It would have been, but the venue was booked a year out, so I was unable to lock down that date. So unfortunately, it's the same weekend as the Chicago Sports Spectacular again, which is the weekend before Thanksgiving. So that's November 19th, and then December 17th for the December show. The January show will be at the end of January. I think it's the 28th, potentially. And again, it's not, I don't want to announce dates because they're not finalized. The ink's not dry on the January, February, March dates. But let me go back to breaking down your first question. What's your 2023 schedule looking like for the Madison Card Show? It was not looking good until last Friday. So the venue, so the people I work with, I don't work with the Sheraton. I work with the company. So there's like the bar, restaurant, and activities / events. They are hired out. They're a third-party company that the Sheraton hires. They work in-house, but they're not part of whoever owns, is it Marriott that owns, whoever owns Sheraton, the parent company of Sheraton. So I work with that third-party company. So basically what happened was I had my dates set for 2023, and my contact was initially leaving, and she's like, I'll get you those contracts before I move jobs. So a couple weeks go by. She's going to stay, which is great because she's been great to work with. But the upper management, and I think it goes beyond her company and it went to the next level, the parent company, they're like, no, you can't do annual contracts, which I understand because they're a wedding venue. The Capitol Ballroom, the big ballroom upstairs, hosts weddings. And if you know, weddings are expensive and they make a lot more money on weddings, more so than card shows. So they had to turn down 2 weddings this year because, oh, sorry, that date's down with a Madison card show. So they lost a good amount of money. I get it. So they were only going to give me 30-day notice. So I was going to book the first 3 months of 2023. That was my option. Was you can book the first 3 months, but then moving forward, we can only give you 30-day notice on dates. Well, if you're running a card show, anybody that runs a card show or any type of event, 30 days is not good. And what happens in March, and I want April, and I only have 2 weekends that I can do an April show, and those dates, oh, sorry, you can't do it. And I have to say, hey, no Madison card show this month. And that's a good way to kill a good thing. A great way to kill a good thing. So I'm like, that's not an option. So I said, so I wanted to have some leverage. And so I said, I'm not going to sign January through March. I'm going to explore other venues. And for anyone that has tried to promote a card show or has promoted a card show, it's not easy. You can't just call up the local hotel and say, hey, I want to book this room. Great. Boom. We're going to do a card show here on January 1st. It's not that easy because there's availability. Are they available on these weekends, on this weekend, on this date, whatever? Pricing is a really big thing. Money's important. And if they want to charge you $25,000 for the rental, the numbers don't work unless you want to lose a lot of money. So there's a lot of things. And then what I didn't even think about until once I started growing the Madison Card Show was tables. And I just assumed there was like a den in the basement that just had a million tables. And it's like, how many tables you need? Oh, we'll just go down to the table den and bring up how many ever tables you need. Guess what? There's like not most venues only carry like 50 tables. And I'm talking like card show tables, not because I can use like banquet tables, but they take up a lot of room and it's not really feasible for a card show. Although I did bring out when I did 3 rooms, I had to bring one out. It worked, but it's not ideal. So most venues only carry like 50 tables. And then when they're charging a lot of money, it's very difficult to work with. So I explored other venues. I struck out. I had a meeting with the Alliant Energy Center, which is the big arena across the street, and the pricing about knocked me over. So that was out of the question because I don't think my dealers want to pay $500 per table, and they charge for parking. Who's going to want to go and pay $8 to park for a monthly card show? Nobody. So it was looking dicey. My contact on Friday came up and said when I was checking the rooms over before Saturday's card show, asked if I had found another venue, and I said I'm still looking, and she's like, I think we can work with you. So we're gonna work 3 months out. So I won't be able to put the schedule out a year in advance, but 3 months I can handle. And I'm like, I can definitely handle that. I'm like, I know that weddings is a big thing, and I understand that. So, but when are people booking weddings? 6 months to a year out. Exactly. Why are you only giving me 30 days? Come on, work with me here. So 3 months, I can handle that. I'm okay with that. So we're going to move forward. So January through March, the dates are set. It's just signing the contract. So nothing's official until that paper is signed. But there will be January through March. And then in January, we'll book April, May, and June. So in January, April, May, and June. And then in, April, we'll book July, August, September, and we'll do 3 months out. So that's the good news. So I know when people I was kind of evasive when talking about the 2023 Madison Card Show because it was in doubt. I was not finding a venue and I was not going to move forward on a 30-day notice because that's just I can't do that. Mark says, I was working for Uncle Rich in his card shop in 1989. That's very cool. Zach and Porter, good morning, playing catch up. Joe Caprino, good morning. How many Cubs cards do you have? Joe, I am up to, I think my official, what's my official count, which is unofficial. My count right now is 832,000 and some change. So, so far it's 832,192, but I have about still to count. I'm still going. I haven't counted the Goodwill stuff. Some of the bulk boxes I've picked up recently, a couple mail days. So I still have some to count. So once I get through the last couple boxes of Goodwill, I'll probably sit down and count. So I'd say it's roughly 835,000. My goal for the end of this year is 900,000 Cubs cards. So I may come up short. I've got to reach out to my bulk Cubs dealer. Last time we met up, and I think I picked up 60,000 Cubs cards. He buys all these junk wax era collections in bulk, and then it pays somebody to like sort them by team, and then I pay him like a half a penny a card or something like that. So if he has another big bulk lot, that should push me over or get me close to 900,000. So I'm going to reach out to him probably in the next few weeks, just so I can prepare for that push. And then ideally, I'd like to hit 1 million at the National next year and then make the official millionth card like a really nice vintage like Cap Anson or something to that effect. So that's the ideal situation, but I need those big bulk deals to come through. Diego says, I think Philly's Jim Thome era really probably brought me back. Jenny says, not enough Cubs cards yet to hit the million goal in 8 months. One giant pickup will put me back on track, and that's kind of what I'm banking on. Hopefully he's still buying collections. Jenny says, Bo says it's cold outside. It's 40 degrees. Wait 5 months. He'll be cheering for 40. Yes, I will. It's 40 is freaking cold, but on let's see, at 7:45 a.m. on February 10th, if it's 40 degrees, I'll be like in shorts and a t-shirt cheering that it's finally hit 40 degrees, because we haven't had 40 degrees since October. Let's see. Zach and Porter says a picture of Mark Hoyle should be in the dictionary next to the definition of a collector. He is the GOAT. Mark's got like packs from the 70s, like from his child. Like, I don't think I have anything card related from my childhood outside of, there might be like a box of beat up 93 Fleer in my, like, in the back of my mom, in the back of the closet at my mom's house. Like, I was a collector. Like, I was a collector. But collecting was, by the time I was a kid, like when Mark Hoyle was a kid, you didn't like collect odd things like an empty pack or a box or something like that. But then when those things became collectible in the late 80s and then into the 90s, like everything became like, oh, save that box. Don't take those starting lineups out of the box because they're going to be worth something someday. And so we couldn't play with our toys because everybody in the 60s and 70s threw their stuff away. And everything was, and then now we have to like put plastic sheets on all of our toys and not play with them because it's going to be worth something someday. And then everybody did that. So now there's no demand for that stuff. Although actually there is from the 80s, like the 90s stuff, starting lineups. No, not so much. You can still find starting lineups for $1 at mini card shows. Dan, what's up? Good morning. Good evening to you. Dan says this whole collection, 2 carloads, is sorted by complete sets and duplicates from a set. Such a meticulously organized collection. Scored it for much lower than that storage unit ended up selling for. That's awesome. I'm hit or miss on the meticulously organized collection, and I've talked about this so often that I like just a mess because it's like, what surprise is in store in this next box? And it may be a bunch of junk, but there might be a Kobe Bryant rookie or a Tom Brady rookie. But if it's meticulously organized, I know that this 2000 Bowman is going to have the Tom Brady. It's still exciting that, yes, the Tom Brady is here, but it's like, and the Mattingly's in the 84 Donruss and the Ripken's in the 82 Tops. So there's no surprise to it. But if you get a great deal on it, it's still super exciting. No doubt about it. And even though it's like you expect to pull those cards out of those boxes, it's still like a thrill to have them. Cooter wants to know who's on Industry Hotline tonight. I don't know who is on Hobby Hotline tonight. I know it's not me. And if I'm scheduled, I've got to cancel. It's Tuesdays are going to be tough now because Tuesday nights are trivia. So I think trivia tonight, we're doing a Schitt's Creek trivia at one of the breweries here, the Wisconsin Brewing Company. I have no idea who's on Hobby Hotline tonight. Is there a tweet? What's the Hobby Hotline tweet say? Hobby Hotline. Hobby Hotline. Let's see. Tonight on Hobby Hotline. Okay. September 21st. No idea. No idea. It's a surprise. It's a surprise. Let's see. Paige and DD Bean says 53 Bowman was on and Bobbles and Ballards both were randomly on last night for no particular reason. Very cool. Bobbles and ball cards. Let's see. Jenny wants to know why they're calling it Industry Hotline. Zach and Porter says the cards I have the most fun picking up now are early to mid 80s because I couldn't afford or find those growing up. Then the post 94 cards, as that was when I left. And I think Zach and I have like a parallel, like that's pretty much exact, because like the Griffey like 89 Upper Deck was out of my price range as a kid. The 86 Donruss rated rookie Jose Canseco, like I remember that being a $100 card. I saw it in one of the dealers at my card shows a couple months ago had one for $10, and it's like, man, I want to buy this, and it's like, no, it's at a price where I can't. It's not like inventory to flip at that price, and it doesn't fit into my Cubs collection, so don't buy it. And then the post 94 cards, and yeah, like I kind of ventured away from baseball cards in 92, 93 because of basketball. I was a Shaq head and started collecting basketball, and then I went into wrestling, and then I got back into baseball in the late 90s. Let's see. Dan is scanning Menkos and editing the blog. By the way, we are going to talk Topps Pro Debut. I'm excited for the checklist. I don't really know if anybody, at least in the chat room, is into Topps Pro Debut. I love it, and I don't really do many checklist and set previews because I don't get to, especially this year, because all of the sets, most of the sets, with the exception of regular Bowman, and I do like Heritage, although I'm liking Heritage less and less now as it gets into the 70s, because like I didn't have many 50s and 60s cards, but I've got like all these, like I've seen the designs, so it was neat to see the 50s and 60s cards. Now it's like I have all of these I have tons of 70s cards, so it doesn't do it for me. So I like the art. I'm going back to archives being more of a favorite than Heritage. But I don't do many set because this year the sets just haven't come out that I enjoy, like archives, Heritage Minors. What else is still to come? Allen and Ginter, like all of the sets I love, with the exception of Bowman, have not been released yet. Topps Pro Debut comes out this Friday. This Friday is when Topps Pro Debut releases. Let's see. Zach and Porter going to see Pujols tonight. That is awesome. That is awesome because you're watching history. It's so cool. Like we take these future Hall of Famers for granted in their playing days, and then we don't realize it until the very end. Like Tom Brady, like I mentioned yesterday, I think Tom Brady's going to retire mid-season this year. If not, he's done this year after this season. And now, like, I've started to really take in Tom Brady as we watch him sail into the sunset. I remember doing that as a kid, as a teenager with Joe Montana, because he was my favorite football player in the late 80s and early 90s, and then his last couple years in Kansas City with the Chiefs. It's like then I started to really appreciate, the career that Joe Montana had, and now we're seeing that with Albert Pujols and who else? Who else is sailing off into the sunset? Who am I missing? Miguel Cabrera. So yeah, that's really cool. Jenny says move the card show to a school gym. That's where the table problem comes in. Many schools have limited amount of tables for card shows as well. Let's see. Those have the sport feeling already to them. Private schools offer great prices because they're operating only off their money, no state money. Another huge bonus of school gyms is some let you use the tables from the lunchroom, and there's chairs right on the tables so buyers can sit down and dig boxes. Let's see. Max says, meet the parents and now Schitt's Creek. Bo, you need better taste in media. 2 of the worst ever. Schitt's Creek is like top 5 GOAT shows of all time. Schitt's Creek is like, so shows that I can like watch anytime. TV, like sitcom type TV shows. Friends, Seinfeld, Schitt's Creek, Boy Meets, I can't find Boy Meets World. I listen to the podcast all the time. I love Boy Meets World. I could watch that. Full House is a classic. But I'd say right now, like shows that are like on TV, on like cable right now in syndication, Friends, Seinfeld, Schitt's Creek. Oh my God. Schitt's Creek is so awesome. The first few shows are kind of dumb. Like, but once you get the character development after the first few shows, oh, it's such a good show. Such a good show. Jenny says, where are we at? Jenny says, it likely means Hobby Hotline doesn't know either who is on tonight. That show derailed and now has crashed into a brick bridge. Paige and Dee Bean says, Hobby Hotline has gone corporate. They don't need to advertise anymore. You just do what you're told. The 90 Leaf Thomas was always out of my price range. There's another one. 90 Leaf was one of those premium sets that I couldn't afford as a kid. Mark said, I bought the 89 Upper Deck set the day it came out, still sealed, have another hand collated set. Dan says, the thing about this collection, the only thing I knew for sure out of the top 4 pulls was the 90 Leaf, 2000 Bowman Football, 82 Tops, and 84 Donruss were complete surprises to me. See, that's awesome. Like once you start, so there is a surprise element. That's cool. That once you start pulling out, it's like, hey, this is a surprise. So there is a surprise element. Okay, I love it. 90 Leaf is still out of our price range. Glad we scooped it up. George says, I booked the winter vacation to Japan today, so I don't have to plan card. So I don't plan to have card money for a while. Otherwise, I'd probably buy a box of Pro Debut here in Korea. Max says, Schitt's Creek is awful. I tried to watch the entire first season. Didn't laugh once. I don't find Dan Levy to be funny whatsoever. You're a Seinfeld guy. Another bad one. So we just have completely different tastes in comedy and television. Seinfeld is the GOAT TV show. Seinfeld is the greatest show of all time. I said it. Seinfeld is the GOAT. So Pro Debut comes out this Friday. Topps Pro Debut didn't become one of my favorite sets until last year. I've always enjoyed it. The only time, so I bought a case last year. It was the first time I'd ever bought a hobby box or more, and I bought a case of them. I bought like 3 loose packs at a card shop back when it was a June release. So we're going back like it was when it was like the first year of Alex Reyes being a prospect. The first of like 7 years of Alex Reyes being a prospect in the Cardinals organization. I pulled like a Reyes gold auto, and it was like, oh my God. And that paid for like the 3 packs plus. But I never bought hobby boxes. And all of a sudden last year, it seemed like there was a much bigger demand for Topps Pro Debut. I don't know why that was. Maybe because the price point, like I think we were still last year, everything was still so overpriced. Everybody was still gobbling up wax at ridiculous prices. And here comes Topps Pro Debut. And they went from 2 autos and 2 relics to 4 autos per box, which is a huge value. Now, here's the thing about Topps Pro Debut. If you're looking at the value and the flippability of it, your biggest hit is not going to be that much, but you're only spending about $70, $75 for a box. And you get 4 autos. Yeah, you're going to get some $5 autos, but your biggest auto might only be $40, $50. But again, you're paying $75. However, the floor, you buy a box of Bowman and you get that one auto, and it may be a $10 auto out of Bowman. And your commons, you're not gonna move many of those commons, even at $150 shipped. Topps Pro Debut, boom. Especially come January, February, prospectors are gobbling them up for either prospecting purposes or for in-person signing at spring training and at minor league games. There's a huge market among autograph collectors for Topps Pro Debut and Topps Heritage Minors. So I really love the product. So Jenny said price point and availability in 2021. Absolutely. Let's see, where are we at? Dan loves Seinfeld. He says it's great. Jenny says, I'm still sitting on a hobby box of Pro Debut from 2021. Maybe I should rip it today. There you go. Brian is 46, and South Park is my favorite show. I never got into South Park. It was in my wheelhouse because I was in high school when it came out, but I didn't have cable growing up. So it wasn't a show that I really, I would watch at a friend's house every once in a while, but it wasn't something that I got into. So I've never really been a South Park fan. Let's see. Zach and Porter says, I'm glad to hear the card show stuff is figured out. I know you were nervous. Yes, I was. And it's for anybody that's, just find a hotel and find a date in a hotel. It's not that easy. Max says, Bowman costs you your firstborn and your left leg, same exposure, cheaper product. I agree. Pro Debut has a higher floor, in my opinion, definitely. So Pro Debut, much, much lower ceiling than Bowman, but a higher floor than Bowman. Paige and Deanie Bean says, I remember buying 2010 Topps Pro Debut, and I pulled a 1-of-1 Pedro Baez hat logo patch, and then the Mike Trout rookie. That box is still a winner. That's awesome. So Pro Debut, I know there's some, I know the blowout forums. I saw the checklist was released yesterday, and many people were talking about the checklist. So I'm on the blowout forums now and looking over, let's see. Talking about the difference between jumbo and hobby. Now, I bought a hobby case last year because you get it's the price point per card is less, and you also receive, I think, more autographs. But the jumbo has the chrome, and you can get chrome autographs and the potential for superfractors. So hobby box, you get. So here's the configuration. Hobby configuration is 8 cards per pack, 24 packs per box, 12 boxes per case. In a jumbo, you get 24 cards per pack, 6 packs per box, and 8 boxes per case. So let's see. And I think I don't have the price point on me, but it's jumbo. You're paying a little bit more, one less autograph, but you get there's 36 base chrome cards in a jumbo. So you get quite a few jumbo or chromes in the jumbo. And I will say the chrome singles sell really well. Even past years, I sold a Hunter Green chrome base for like $253. And I found a bunch of those in the dime box at a card show a few months ago. So let's see. So I'm a big fan of the chrome. So there's no Jackson Churio for the Brewers fans, and he's like the number 2 prospect in baseball. So that's a bummer. Ellie De La Cruz is in Pro Debut, and I think they had advertised originally Julio Rodriguez autographs, and I don't think he is on the autograph checklist. Let's go to the checklist. Actually, let's go to the chat first. Ed says, find a date and a hotel. Sounds like my college years. John says, jumbo schmumbo. Jenny says, finally passed 12,000 active on eBay. That is awesome. I'll circle back to eBay once I finish talking up Pro Debut. David says, with minor league players becoming members of the MLBPA, I wonder if the minor league card products will be affected in the future. That's something that I'm not sure about. We were supposed to talk about that on Hobby Hotline a couple weeks ago, but that conversation got derailed, so we weren't able to really elaborate on that whole deal. Pro Debut, I love the inserts on the like the legends, and the mock-up on Cardboard Connection has the Deion Sanders in a Columbus Clippers uni. So now as I see the photos, oh my gosh, I'm getting really. I've got to reach out to my dealer and get me a hookup for Pro Debut. I'm jonesing here. Oh man, I'm jonesing. 4 autographs in a hobby, 3 in a jumbo. Okay, so base checklist. I saw right off the bat. We're off to a good start on the base checklist. Card number 1, my guy, Cubs, James Triantos. The Cubs have, I think, 10 players on the checklist. So we've got James Triantos of the Cubs. I'm just going to go down and I'm just going to randomly mention some names. I know Max is a Brewers guy. Jefferson, is it Quero? He's in there. He's card number 6. We've got Mick Abel at card number 8. He's like the new Alex Reyes. He's been in a prospect product for like the last 7 years. Let's see. We've got Dusty Baker's kid, Darren Baker. He's in the set for the Nationals. We've got another Cub, Kevin Alcantara. He's card number 14. Nolan Gorman. He's been in prospect sets for 7 years. Josh Jung. Let's see. We've got, just trying to pick out some names. Robert Poison. He's kind of disappeared. He was a hot Bowman guy a couple years ago. The Athletics version of Max Muncy, Joshua Baez from the Cardinals. Let's see. Who else do we have? Reggie Preciado, another Cub. So that's 3 Cubs. And then we've got Pete Crow Armstrong. He's the new number 1 Cubs prospect. And now that's pretty much unanimous among all publications. Pete Crow Armstrong, the number 1 Cubs prospect. Jason Dominguez. We'll probably be seeing him in 7 straight years of prospect products. He's been around for a while already, and he's 19 years old. Let's see. So we're at 4 Cubs so far. Yohendrick Pinango, South Bend Cubs, card number 70. So we're at 5. And then we've got Nelson Velasquez. He's pictured in the Tennessee Smokies. He actually made it up to the Cubs this year. So he made it to the big league. Cub made his debut. I'm going to do some check marks because I ran out of fingers on one hand. So there's 6 with Nelson Velasquez. Anthony Volpe, Yankees prospect. There's Brennan Davis, Iowa Cubs. He battled some injuries. He had he not been injured, Brennan Davis would have been called up to the big league team. Amador from the Rockies is in here. He's moving up the prospect rankings. Marcelo Meyer of the Red Sox. Riley Green, Tigers. Let's see. Let's go back up. So we're at 7 Cubs already, and we're only halfway through the checklist. We've got Jordan Lawler and Khalil Watson. Sal Frelick of the Brewers system. Jordan Walker in the Cardinals system. Blaze Jordan, Red Sox. Colton Cowser and Adley Rutschman, both Orioles prospects. Elijah Tatis, White Sox. Was he released? I think he might have been released this year. Let's see. Henry Mendez, he's a Brewers prospect. James Wood of the Padres. We're looking at the Topps Pro Debut checklist, just picking out some random names here. Christian Franklin, I'm excited because he hasn't been in any mainstream products. He's been in some like Elite Extra Edition. He's pictured with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. Kevin Made. He had a Bowman card, I think this year was his first Bowman, or maybe last year. So we're at 9 Cubs now. Ed Howard, he's been struggling in the minor leagues. There's our 10th Cubby. Let's see. We've got Brett Beatty of the Mets. Let's see. Alejandro P.A. of the Rays. Benny Montgomery from the Rockies. Marco Luciano. Hey, 11 Cubs. Alexander Canario. Oh, 12 Cubs. Jordan Wicks. Oh, man, it's even better than I thought. 12 Cubs. Let's see. For the White Sox, Colson Montgomery. Yankees, Trey Sweeney. Ellie De La Cruz of the Reds. Garrett Mitchell from the Brewers. So 12 Cubs on the checklist. I'm excited. That right there, I've got to buy a bunch of Pro Debut. It's a great resale product, and it's also got a great Cubs checklist. Now, the base autograph checklist is huge. Now, remember, there's 4 autographs per box, but there's 111 autographs on the auto checklist, on the base auto checklist. Let's go into the chat real quick. Let's see. So we've got Paige and Dini Bean talking about O-Pee-Chee. I saw that when they started talking about O-Pee-Chee last night, I did the same thing you did. I looked it up on Wikipedia. And it was so it was also O-Pee-Chee was the name of the owner, the founder of O-Pee-Chee, the company, the brothers, the summer cottage, their summer family cottage was named O-Pee-Chee, which was named after the Obi-Jawa, the Native American name. So it's like, well, that's kind of disappointing. Like they just named it after their summer cottage. Let's see. Max says, I'm a huge Cubs guy. Oh, I thought you were a Brewers guy. My apologies. I should have known that. Let's see. Jason Dominguez got signed whilst still in the womb. John says, trash night, dude. Love the Cubs checklist, says Victor. It is Tuesday. I've got to take the trash out. Only trash, though, tonight. No recycling. Let's see. John Keating's like, hey, we can all read a checklist. We can all read a checklist. We can all read Wikipedia. We can all read a checklist. So the base autograph checklist has 111 cards. Some of the highlights, Amador from the Rockies is on that checklist. I thought somebody on the blowout forum said he was not. So I'm going to count Cubs now. We've got Alexander Canario is on the Cubs checklist for autographs. Anthony Volpe has autographs. Benny Montgomery has autographs. We'll see what fun he has with Topps Pro Debut autos. We saw what he did in the Bowman products. Blaze Jordan has autos. Christian Franklin, which I don't think I have, maybe an Elite Extra Edition auto. I have not been able to get a Christian Franklin autograph in person. Did not see, he was injured last year at spring training, so did not see him at spring training. And he was still in low A this year, I believe. He was not with South Bend when I saw the South Bend Cubs. Let's see. So just two. Oh, we've got James Triantos. Jason Dominguez does have autos. Let's see. So we're at 3 Cubs. Khalil Watson has autos. Kevin Made has autos. So there's 4 Cubs. Leover Peguero, Marcelo Meyer, Max Muncy have autos. Nelson Velasquez. So we're at 5 Cubs autos. Let's see. Reggie Preciado. Hopefully he does a full auto on Topps Pro Debut. Now, in person, he only does initials. Same with, I think Kevin Alcantara only did initials as well. Both those guys have great autos, like full autos, but in person, they only do initials. And Yohendrick Panango. So 7 Cubs autos on the base auto checklist. So that's pretty cool. So I'm excited for the Pro Debut. It's out Friday. I'm going to get at least 1 case, maybe 2. I'd like to get 1 hobby and 1 jumbo. So my favorite insert checklist is the Legends set. So there's 20 cards in the Legends set, and it pictures Legends in the minor leagues. So the Legends checklist, I don't think there's a Cub here, but they're just really cool cards to look at. Jorge Posada, pictured with the Prince William Cannons. Kevin Millar with the Portland Sea Dogs. And you're like, why Kevin Millar? Well, MLB Network. It's crazy how collectible those MLB Network personalities are. Dustin Pedroia with the Portland Sea Dogs. Bo Jackson, Memphis Chicks. That'll be a hot card. Ken Griffey Jr., San Bernardino Spirit. Chipper Jones, pictured with the Durham Bulls. Deion Sanders with the Columbus Clippers, and that's a really cool card. It looks like the 1960 Topps design. Bobby Abreu with the Tucson Toros. We've got a former Cub, but he's with his minor league team, which was in the Padres organization, the Las Vegas Stars. Mo Vaughn with the New Britain Red Sox. Pee Wee Reese with the Louisville Colonels. I didn't say Louisville right because you've got to pronounce it with as few syllables as possible, like Louisville. Justin Morneau with the Rochester Red Wings. Jackie Robinson with the Montreal Royals. That'll be a hot card. Adrian Beltre, San Bernardino Stampede. Ted Williams with the Minneapolis Millers. That'll be a cool card. Tim Raines with the Denver Bears. Barry Zito with the Visalia Oaks. Roger Clemens, New Britain Red Sox. Carlos Delgado is at Dunedin, the Dunedin Blue Jays, and Phil Niekro, Denver Bears. So that'll be a cool set. I always love that set. Let's see. Paige and Deanie Bean says, Jambalaya versus Gumbo. Who is the MVD most valuable dish? I really like Nick Madrigal's autograph. I was not able to get a Nick Madrigal autograph at spring training. He did not. Oh, crap. Is my microphone working? It just came unplugged. I don't know how long that's been going. Let's see. Let's plug this in just in case. It came out so easy, and how come it's so hard to get back in? Okay, you can't hear me. Okay, you guys can hear me. All right, so I don't know if this microphone's working. 1, 2, 1, 2, but that one might be working. So that's what I had for today. Just wanted to talk about Pro Debut and other random happenings. Don't forget, Hobby Hotline is on tonight, 8 p.m. Central. Surprise cast. Tune in 8 p.m. Central for Hobby Hotline. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Thank you for joining in. Thanks for dropping the chats. We had a great chat today as always. Back at it tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central for Hobby Evolution. Wish me luck at trivia tonight. Wish me luck at trivia. Schitt's Creek trivia tonight, Wisconsin Brewing. And I also have to take the trash out tonight. It is trash night. Thank you, John, for the reminder. I'll do that when I get home from trivia. Have a great Tuesday, and we will talk tomorrow.